So the way we're gonna structure this show, we're not really gonna give a preview for Week 10, some compelling games, but I do want to look at it from a little bit of parlay the two. Right, we're gonna look at the first half of the season, some takeaways, and then preview the rest of the way, based on what we know now. Right, we gave out these predictions before Labor Day weekend. It's about 2.5 months ago, and it's been a while. So a lot of things have changed. A lot of information has been put out. I want to start off with a surprise team. Now, Alan, you could phrase this as a surprise that's good. The team has overachieved what your expectations were, or a team that has shit the bed.
Okay.
Start us off.
Yeah. I want to go optimistic route. I want to spotlight a positive team, but this one team I've watched consistently, practically almost every week, and I'm consistently just disappointed. I'm befuddled on how disorganized they are, considering their head coach and the expectations they have this year. The San Francisco 49ers. It's just a problem. Like Kyle Shanahan, he has to be the forefront of this because we could talk about Jimmy Garoppolo's limitations. We could talk about the defense falling short. But I just don't like that Shanahan, from his in-game decisions to his weird challenges, and then just his lack of belief on players that he drafted, between Trey Sermon being a healthy scratch, the whole Brandon Ayuk situation, and then in the past, not believing in young players. And even now, like, they had a 5th-round pick, this cornerback. His name's Tomador Leonor. He got beat against Eagles one time, and now he's benched for Josh Norman and Drake Kirkpatrick, two players that
Norman has looked terrible.
Had no business starting for an NFL team. Josh Norman out here taunting coaches after a stop on 3rd and 25, costing his team field position. It's just, I hate that Shanahan. I love the play caller, but I'm hating what he's becoming as just an overall coach and just someone that's in charge of personnel, because he makes a lot of the decisions there. He is kind of like a GM figure. John Lynch gives him a lot for the reign, and it's blown up in the face. Now, I don't think he's going to be fired, but it's like if things don't go right next year with Trey Lance, how can he not be gone? Like, to me, this is a bigger hot seat right now. So, the 49ers, I'm really disappointed. I thought at least they'll be like a 6th or a 7th seed, and right now they look more like a top 10 pick to me.
It's funny that you say that about the Trey Lance thing, because a lot of what I heard, and it's all he said, she said, but a lot of what I heard was that Shanahan wanted Mac Jones, and then John Lynch had something to do with let's take a look at Trey Lance and let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and then slowly but surely, as a group, It turned into Trey Lance. And look, Trey Lance can turn out to be great. I just find it funny how, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I just think it's like an interesting thing to talk about, where they put all of their eggs in this basket to trade up to go get the quarterback. You think the quarterback that you want, and then it's time to make the decision, and you maybe second-guess yourself, take the other guy who's not as ready, and then who knows what happens with this team by next year, right?
Well, they thought Garoppolo, if healthy, with the supporting cast they have, at least could kind of bridge the gap that year. Like, Garoppolo is your perfect bridge quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree.
Just set the year straight. And we could talk about injuries, but look, they had injuries last year, and I thought last year was valid because a lot of their stars were injured. This year they've had injuries. Obviously, Kittle's been out, and
McGlinchey just went down.
Jason Verrett went down. So they've had injuries. It's just, my issue is that they're not even competitive in these games. Like, that Cardinals game was a total abomination.
Dude.
The Colts game was, I know it was a bad weather, but that Colts game was really disappointing. Just to see them, okay, you're home, like elite. I think they will come off a bye too. It's just at this point, this team's not even competitive against teams that they should be beating.
Yeah, so. and it's funny because they play some good teams tough. Like, if you think back to earlier in the year, they played the Packers well.
Kyler Murray that was the one game he really struggled in.
Yeah. No, so I agree. It's a conundrum. It's a.
I want to mention one thing, man. Hey, do you know Kyle Shanahan's record?
I think he's like 6 or 7 games under 500.
So he's 32-40, right? Close enough. 8 games, right? If they don't have that 2019 season,
I can't stand this.
Why? Why not? Like, how good of a coach is he?
You can't say, let's take the season out that you made it to the Super Bowl. That's the pipe dream. Like, to me, it's not fair to do that.
I agree.
Like, how? Like, okay, let's remove the best thing you've ever done. Okay. Like, that just doesn't make sense.
Because to me, I don't think 2017 or 2018 is relevant because the 49ers had a huge rebuilding job when he came in.
Yeah.
Hence why they got the 6-year contract. It's like that team was in a horrible state, like which the whole Chip Kelly mess.
And sorry to cut you off, but also the year that they trade for Garoppolo, they won the last 5 games of that season.
Big time momentum.
Remember?
Yeah.
So I think it's a mix of maybe he is kind of, maybe they could be doing a better job from a coaching perspective.
You're
but
going to use the O word right there.
I
right?
just think that he's had he hasn't had a fair shake.
Yeah, look, it's not. You're right. You can't blame a coach when his team is constantly getting hurt too. Like that's out of your control. But I do think some of the decisions are a little questionable, right? Like Brandon Ayuk's a first-round pick. How come last week was the first time he was actually relevant?
The Trey Sermon thing is weird too.
All right, and there's other players in the past. Like they drafted Joe Williams in the 3rd round, who everyone projected to be like a 7th-round undrafted player, and I don't think he's in the league anymore.
Jalen Hurd, the wide receiver, also just
yeah.
But then you look and they had some really gold picks, right?
Yeah.
Kittle in the 5th round and Deebo Samuel emerging. That's your boy.
McGlinchey was good too.
Yes.
Top pick though. So yeah. But
back end of the 1st round.
Yeah, you have to nail those because remember that Solomon Thomas pick, that was their first pick, and obviously that botch. Thankfully, they didn't go Trubisky, but
yeah,
it's the Solomon Thomas.
I'm with you, man. Though
I'm football in Vegas now.
I don't know, kind of weird. Look, the benefit of the doubt is that division is bomber, right? That division is just money. If you just look at the landscape of that division, they've had Super Bowl representatives rather often the last decade, right?
Yes.
Seahawks bunch of times, Rams made a Super Bowl, Cardinals went on that deep AFC run.
Yeah.
People forget the Carson Palmer season too, where they really kind of took off. But I don't know, man. There's something about them. I think if more momentum continues on that take that you had of Trey Lance,
yeah.
Was it a Shanahan pick? Was it a Lynch pick? I think there could be some change.
At the end of the day, they both put their stamp of approval on it. I'm almost positive. They work so closely together. I'm almost positive, if the other one didn't give him the benefit of the blessing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they wouldn't have made the pick. But I don't think it's out of the realm of a possibility of them to have said, okay, we know for a fact we like Mac. We're comfortable taking him. We're going to move up. And, by the way, there's a couple of other studs that we can look at while we're there. You're kind of like window shopping.
But isn't Mac very similar to Jimmy G playing style? Whereas with Trey Lance, you roll the dice on the raw talent that maybe he might blossom into what they were projecting him to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point.
Because I don't think you take Mac at 3. That's like Kirk Cousins at 3. Whereas you would want to roll the dice
on the guy with a higher upside?
Yeah.
I mean, just athletically more upside. Just from the athletic perspective, like.
Is more of a current quarterback, though.
Yes, without question.
Like, he's a 2021 quarterback.
Everything out of the Patriots camp is that this kid is way ahead of schedule. He's processing information way better than everybody else. Like,
no, it's a fair assessment.
There's a lot more than just goes into, like, the stats you put up. You know what I mean? The Patriots aren't asking Mac Jones to do a lot, so he's not going to show a lot on paper. But they're a great organization, and they clearly know what they're doing. Well, look at all the rookie quarterbacks. Most of them aren't really playing that great.
Yeah.
And it's the Patriots who aren't, the Patriots have the training wheels on him, and he's not making any mistakes, right?
Yeah.
He's also on the best team of any rookie.
Yeah. No debate there.
Any rookie quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
you could have only made the argument for the Niners, maybe, right?
Right. I was going to say San Francisco, but the way they're playing.
I also think, call me crazy, I also think, like, if Trey Lance never got hurt, do you think he would have been the quarterback and things would have maybe been different?
No, I think Shanahan was going to go back to Garoppolo.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imp, what's your surprise team?
The Cardinals.
Ooh, a good surprise.
What did we say the entire offseason? What's the toughest division? NFC West, right?
Yeah.
We pretty much said that, I think.
My take was that 4 teams would make it.
Yeah, which I don't know if the AFC.
It's taking a little
Good
hit.
take, though. That's a good take.
It came out strong. I think everyone was like undefeated or 2-1.
Russ's crazy finger. I mean, no, just Cliff 3-0 again. Cliff Kingsbury 3-0 against the division, 8-1 total.
I thought last week was one of his better coached performances.
And we'll talk about it, but it removed, in my opinion, it slightly damaged Kyler Murray's MVP odds. and we'll talk about that. But
Okay.
how can it not? And I guess we'll talk about it. But I mean, when you're down your quarterback, your number one quarterback, your stud, your first wide receiver, your second wide receiver, your starting running back, you know, I think, and I'm just really impressed with like what they're doing. Like, the defense is really fast. They're playing well. James Conner leads the NFL in touchdowns.
Yeah, on the road too, by the way.
Yeah, like they're just, you know, Cliff is he's doing a really great job. I think he's silencing a lot of the critics from earlier in the season. And I don't know how it's not the Cardinals in terms of a good surprise. I think that's got to be. Right. No one saw 8-1 coming.
No, not at all.
No. Yeah, that's definitely a great point, because also that division was so tough, right? Niners were a Super Bowl favorite. Russ always being there. Rams were the big trendy team to win the Super Bowl also.
They also made an incredible statement to start the year. When you look at the Titans now, the way they went to Tennessee and just bullied them.
That's a win that aged really well. Yeah,
it's a good point.
Good call.
Chandler Jones, 5 sacks. Oof.
Yeah, and the one thing about them is that they have the highest net points in the whole league. That's something that I like to look at, right? They're plus 122. Buffalo's behind them at plus 117. And they're just dominate.
They're a true juggernaut. They have 5 players at skill position that you could use, and they can make a big play. But now Zach Ertz getting in there. Like, I love to me, there isn't a team that has a better 4 wide receivers. Like, we know about the trios, Tampa Bay, Dallas. But in terms of having like 4 receivers, when you put Rondale Moore with AJ Green, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, there isn't a more diverse, threatening group of receivers in the league.
Bro, and now you throw in Zach Ertz, who has looked really good with them. Like, how do you cover those 5 receivers, bro? And then you got to worry about Kyler running around. Yo, if I played Madden, that's all I would run. 5 wide. What's
Kyler.
Up? Yeah. Dude.
You know what's crazy? Zach Ertz, he already has 91 yards after the catch in 3 games, while last year in Philadelphia, in like 14 games, he only had 99.
You think it had something to do with like him just being unhappy in Philly?
No, I just think the offensive infrastructure was a mess. Now he's in a great position.
And also he's battling with Goddard for touches.
That too. I think he's getting more openings, and credit to Kingsbury.
Well, for sure.
He's brought him in, and he's contributing immediately.
He's probably way more wide open.
Yeah, and he made some. I know they lost the game, but he made some huge catches against Green Bay. So that was a huge addition.
A good veteran guy for the locker room. You know what I mean? Super Bowl guy, been there, done that.
And you know, I like nothing more than the dude that goes from a shitbag team to a contender, and then you see him, he's rejuvenated, he feels energized. Yeah. So that's what you're seeing there. For me, yo, I talked about it on, I think it was an episode with you, Derek Carr and the Raiders.
For sure.
They have gone through so much shit this year. And the fact that he has them 5-3, look, I know they just lost to the Giants, but still, you're 5-3. You're tied for first in your division, right? Just because of tiebreakers, you're not. You still got 4 games in division, so you could take care of your business there. And from the coaching incident, the brand new offensive line coming into the year, new wide receivers that he's working with, Jacobs in and out the lineup. They get rid of the coach. Then the Henry Ruggs incident. And then this corner. Like, yo, and this guy is just being thrown craziness. Has to be the leader, stepping up and addressing everything. And he's just keeping them afloat. And I wasn't very excited about the Raiders coming into the year. I was fascinated by the Vegas dynamic, having a crowd there. And you see the crowd has been pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. But they are 3-1 at home. So maybe at the end of the year, if they're like 7-1 and they win now, we're like, yo, that Vegas flu might be a real thing. You know, we're 6-2.
The Knights, Golden Knights.
But, yo.
$10.
Yo, we're in sync right now. But I think the Raiders, man, their defense has played really well. The defensive line, Crosby, Ngakoue, Nassib. I'm really impressed with what the Raiders have done up to this point.
Yeah, especially with all the adversity, to your point.
The adversity, yeah.
When did the Gruden thing happen?
3 weeks ago?
Week 5, week 6.
And let's not pretend like that stuff wasn't impacting them maybe internally before it all started. Like, I would like
if they had experienced those things.
No, like I think it's naive to assume that like that incident impacted them before he got fired. Maybe in some capacity, like maybe Gruden knows all of this stuff is happening behind the scenes. Is he really giving it his all? Like, if in the back of his mind he's like, oh shit, all this is gonna come out soon. Like, how much is he really locked in to being the head coach?
John Gruden was locked in, man.
Yeah?
He's always locked in. John Gruden's
Okay.
a very fiery character.
I get what you're saying, though.
He's just so oblivious.
Like, if you know this is
maybe 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because you know shit's about to hit the fan.
No. And I think,
but I understand your perspective too. It's John Gruden.
yeah,
Like, who's gonna tell him anything?
He's wrapped in football, and that's it. So
Yeah. But
Ray's a great call. Like, the Raiders have been unbelievable.
yeah. And again, with like not the greatest weapons.
No, not at all.
It's
Waller.
who's starting in your fantasy leagues? Waller,
Well, now Renfro for sure.
Hunter, PPR goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you look at just like the first round now of that 2020 draft, just up in flames with Ruggs and Arnett. Those were their
yeah.
2 first-round picks.
And I mean, and when was Cleveland Farrell?
The year
Before
that
was Clint Farrell. I'm
Yes.
talking about 2020.
No, I'm just saying those
Yeah.
2 years.
What a contrast. You went from a high character guy, and then you take Ruggs and Arnett. And Arnett, there was notable character concerns
Beforehand.
and he was projected to be like a 3rd-round pick. So, man, Mike Mayock not looking too good.
I mean, dude, just look at this list, right? Let's go to 2017. Gary and Conley, not on the team. Cleveland Farrell, questionable pick from day one.
Not going to be on the team.
It was a reach.
Yeah.
He was a healthy scratch a couple weeks ago.
Josh Jacobs, solid, but first-round running backs, not really. Doesn't do it for me.
We can argue he's kind of been a little bit of a disappointment.
I would say he's been a disappointment. He's good player, but for a first running back, you got to be like you got to be like a Najee Harris.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jonathan Abram has missed some time. Henry Ruggs, Arnett, and Leatherwood was like, huh?
Leatherwood was a reach too.
Level was a reach. He's looked better at guard, so that's the one caveat, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's a great selection.
Yeah,
you know,
Abrams been a mess. That dude misses so many tackles. So
Yeah, because he tries to smoke everybody. I remember him on Hard Knocks. He was like, "Oh, let's hit, let's bang."
he's the new. He's like
we'll
the
fucking wrap up first.
Yeah.
he's like the new DJ Swearinger.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget my high school football coach, Coach Hernandez. I asked him, like, yo, what's changed in the NFL? Like, what's changed in football just in general from I started playing football in 2007, and this is when I went back to Brian, like, at, like, 2016, 2017. He's like, first of all, no one has highlight tapes anymore. Like, actually, like, burned CDs that you would send to recruiting. Everything's on, like, Huddle and YouTube. And second, he was talking about DBs because his main focus was always the DBs. He said, yo, everyone goes for the wow play. If you're a safety, you're not going to show Allen at the bar, yo, look at my highlights of you textbook, head up, wrapping around the feet tackles, waistline tackles. Nah, Allen wants to see you come over the middle and
Clean someone up.
send someone to another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
That'll be a 15-yard penalty.
It would be. Oh, nowadays, yeah, in the
Yeah.
suspension. But that's the issue with a guy like Abram. They just want to lay the wood down.
Yeah.